Atonement for Me, Episode 19, Asking for Help. Hey Magical Misfits, it's Kaidain Ivy and welcome to Atonement for Me. It is me, whether I'm wearing my glasses or not, Israel. I'm not Clark Kent. But as most people, whether you have glasses or not, can see, the space is a little bit different right now because I just moved. Yay! The whole renoviction thing came out only a couple days before I moved, so I didn't really get to benefit from that policy, but that is a story for another time. It's just a mess, just like my house is right now, so bear with me. So, given that I just moved during a pandemic, which is not an easy thing to do, because you have to really think about how to condense the help that other people are offering you and the help that you require to make sure that exposure isn't going to affect other people, as well as having movers in or getting your internet re-hooked up. And so it's a whole thing that extends outside of your bubble. And I hate moving to begin with. So it was quite a clusterfuck of panic and dust because I just gotten off set. So I've been on set from August to just a couple weeks ago, and then have to pack up and move. So obviously needing a hand with that. But traditionally, especially for me, asking for help from anybody is really, really hard. Accepting help from people is difficult for me, and it always has been, but asking for it, that is something that I only really came to start understanding in the last couple years of my life. And what I mean by that is there always seems to be some kind of shame when you're going and asking for something. And it doesn't necessarily reflect a lacking in yourself, but that's something that a lot of people internalize, and I definitely internalize because I'm aware of my capabilities. And sometimes I'm blinded by that because I'll see something and instead of considering all options, I'll see the problem and I have a solution in my head and I just go and do that. It might be the absolute longest possible route to get from point A to point B, but that's the only solution I came up with in my head, or was the first solution that I came up with in my head. So off I go into my own little path. Had I asked for help, I could probably have done it with a little bit more ease. But asking for help isn't the first thing that comes to mind. Even researching online or on YouTube how to do something, I only recently discovered how to really do that because it wasn't something that ever came to mind as a resource for answers. And it's so readily available. But so is help from friends and family, from your support networks, from your communities. It takes a lot for me to ask for help. And adding that with spending years relying only on myself, it's really difficult to break down that mindset into a more communal way of thinking as opposed to just survivalist. And because I just moved, everything in my house is everywhere. I forgot to take my anti-anxiety, antidepressant medications. And if you've had to take those at any point in your life, you'll know that you're not supposed to stop taking them like suddenly. And I couldn't remember if I took them the day that I moved, and then the day after, I was so consumed with moving things, I forgot about them. And then the next day, I slept until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's not something that I ever do unless like I am sick, something is going on, because my body just naturally wakes up. And that was really confusing for me. It's not something, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And then as the day went on, I was getting like really groggy and my head hurt and I was just kind of feeling dizzy and nauseous, but like I can function, I can still interact. I had a friend over, I had my boyfriend come by, like I can still function. After they left, I started shaking and started getting really, really confused. And then I was like, oh, right, this is an issue that I can't deal with, because I know for myself, if I stop taking my medication or forget to take my medication, I know the signs and symptoms of me starting to get confused and starting to, my brain kind of gets locked on a loop. And it's the same information like on tumble dry in my brain, and I can't conceptualize anything else except for those select ideas that are just rotating through my head, which could be where are my keys, and then I'll just focus on that. And I could be bleeding, but in my head, the focus is where are my keys. So it was getting to that point, and I called my mom, and she said, okay, so what can I do? What do we do? And I said, I don't know. I'm telling you that I know myself, and I've gotten to the point where I know that I cannot think properly for myself. And if I try to resolve this for myself and by myself, it's probably not going to be the best solution, the healthiest solution, or the quickest solution. So I had to call my poor mom, who's in a different province, and be like, I'm handing the reins to you because I'm so confused. I don't really know what to do. And thankfully, my mom was able to message one of my friends. Oh yeah, you know V. V to come over and help me look for my meds and talk me through things, as well as message one of my friends who happens to work at the pharmacy and was able to get my prescription again, and then walk them over to my house to make sure that I was going to be okay. And the entire time I had my boyfriend on the phone, and like I had this little family of people looking out for me and looking after me. And that's something that for my whole life would be so embarrassing that I'd had to do that. But I couldn't have done it without any of them. I know that I wasn't equipped to deal with that particular scenario. And I'm so grateful for the people in my life who are so supportive and loving and caring of me and will be there if I need anything and offer to help. But I also know that they're also the people who continually ask me, are you okay? Are you sure? Are you comfortable with asking for help if you need it? And the first time anybody asked me that, I felt like a deer in the headlights. Like, what? I what do you mean by that? But I realized just how many people will say they're fine and then just stubbornly continue on without asking for help just because. And I know I'm stubborn, and I know that pride can sometimes be a double-edged sword for me. And I'm so grateful for the people who have taken the time and have had the patience with me to allow me to ask for help. Because I've said this often, trust comes not so easily for me. And my biggest way of showing that I trust somebody is being able to ask for their help. There's no shame in asking for help. Right now, nobody has enough spoons for themselves. We're all in this really surreal reality. And it's okay to not do that by yourself. And that's just the tea.